Mm-hmm. We
Okay.
do our thing again, our, as much
Oh,
noise as
the
possible
okay. Let me
without
turn my heater
talking.
back on. Sure. Another countdown.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Am I still echoing?
Yeah, I still hear the echo. Wait, talk some more.
Okay, can you hear it now?
Yeah,
No. Oh, I can hear it.
I hear the echo. I
Dang
hear
it.
myself too for some reason.
Yeah, I can hear you
Is
echoing. Am I
something
echoing?
is
I don't
something
hear you. I just hear me and
open?
Ash.
Mm.
Hold on, let me try something.
Do y'all see P Money commented on our last video?
P
Our
money?
last track?
No. What?
He says, I'm just a young lyrical Philly rapper with a fast flow trying to make a name for himself. Hey, I'm not proud of self promoting, but I have to be honest. I poured a lot of passion in my most recent remix, The Box. If you guys could check it out, that would be incredible. Thanks.
Oh, yes, King. I'll check it out. That's nice.
Also, Harlem, Afghanistan is his location.
All right. Learn something new every day.
Wow. Wow. Wow, we're at 390K.
90,000.
Oh my gosh.
That's more than some Read episodes. Like,
I know.
Should we address it?
no. Just feel like it don't happen. Because the next episode, hopefully, it'll just be, our normal
Regular.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't
Yeah.
have to address it.
Okay. Cool. All right. Am I still echoing?
Oh, wait, talk some
Speak
more.
some more.
Am I echoing now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
I'm echoing too.
Dang
Is
it.
it because you have like the YouTube open? Is that what it is?
I don't think I have the YouTube open. Let me just double check.
I wonder if the
Nope.
reason why we got our stuff linked to a spam thing is because we mentioned coronavirus. Because you know what I mean? Because that's like a global, and some people think that if you mention coronavirus, that it'll get a lot of clicks. So maybe somebody saw that we mentioned coronavirus and they linked it so that they could get paid.
huh? Maybe. Maybe.
That's the only thing I can think of. Because I'm like, we've used all of these different like Super M and you know what I mean? Like G
Yeah.
Idol, we've used all of those in descriptions before, and that's
Yeah.
never happened. So
Okay, can you hear my echo now?
talk some more.
Do you hear it now?
No.
I heard me. I think. Hold up. Let me. Blah, 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 blah. Da, 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 da. No, I don't hear me. So I want to hear you talk,
Me
Ash.
or not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking.
Yep. I don't hear it. That's good.
We're good.
Okay, awesome.
Is this Kirby? Because I'm about to turn my TV. Ain't nobody. I hate this movie. Oh no, this is Bumblebee. Same difference.
Yeah. Pretty crappy. So.
Okay, moving on to Parasite, the very first foreign film to win the Best Picture Oscar and a bunch of other awards. It's highly
It's echoing
rated.
again.
Ah, darn it.
I don't know what happened. It just randomly started echoing out of nowhere. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I thought that disabling audio processing would help it. Maybe if I don't speak so loud? I'm speaking softer now and it's not
Do you
echoing.
have headphones in?
Yeah. Well, I have a
Oh.
headset.
Then I wonder why I can hear the echo, because usually headphones means you can't hear echoes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, let me try again.
This high key
So,
looks like we bought listens. Sorry, go ahead.
so let's move on to the last topic of the episode.
Good. No echo. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's go on to talking about Parasite, which is the Best Picture Oscar winning movie that was the first foreign film to ever win the Best Picture Oscar, and they won a truckload of other awards. It's a critic's darling. I think I read somewhere that they're going to do really great numbers in the US this weekend. And it, the actors and Bong Joon-ho are, Hollywood darlings at the moment. And it's a great story. I mean, the film is, I haven't seen the film, but everything I've heard about it is really great. It tackles a interesting topic, class disparity in South Korea, and Bong Joon-ho has been getting accolades for many, many years now. So a lot of people.
There is like a
A lot
lot
of
of
background
furniture
noise.
moving.
Yeah, there's a lot of background noise there too. I was like, wait, what?
Oh, well, I don't have anything going on.
Oh, I thought it was coming from that. I don't know who it's coming from, but I was like, dang, somebody moving furniture.
I'm sitting in my chair. I'm not even. Usually, I'm twirling around in it. I'm just stationary right now. I'm not doing anything.
I don't know if there's something picking up in my house, but
It's not doing it now, but it wasn't like the whole time you were talking. I was like, something's moving.
okay.
So
Start
maybe
over.
we go back into it and
Okay.
hopefully it stop.
All right. So Parasite's gotten tons of accolades. Bong Joon-ho is he's gotten great reviews on his films for many, many years, and he's finally kind of getting his due in Hollywood, and it's a great story. Most people, there was no backlash against them winning. I mean, most people were either intrigued by the film or were happy that they won. Unfortunately, K-pop fans kind of have to ruin it all, because the day after Parasite won, K-pop fans and some armies came on Twitter and tried to make it about them and made it like Parasite's win was a win for K-pop. And some people even tried to say that BTS paved the way for Parasite's win, and all of this stuff that really has nothing to do with Bong Joon-ho or the film's achievements. In my opinion, they just happen to coincide together. I mean, South Korea is having a great moment culturally, but K-pop and I don't want to say acting because some K-pop singers act, but I will say the film industry, cinema, serious film in South Korea in the K-pop industry do not meet. As far as I know, as far as I understand. So I don't see how they're making the connection here. Ace performed at the after party for Parasite, which was interesting. Apparently, there are some connections there as far as like they knew someone that worked on the film, knew them, or knew someone that worked for them, and so that's how they got that gig. But yeah, of course, I knew people were going to say something like that, but yeah, it's interesting to think that at this point in time, Parasite is more well known in the US probably than BTS is. I would hazard a guess to say that. What do you guys think?
So first, I want to congratulate the creators of the film and the talent that participated in the film. I watched it and I really liked it. I mean, I watched it a long time ago though, like way before it had Oscar buzz. Because I was like looking at like I was watching some like YouTube trailers type video, and I came across that and I was like, oh wow, that looks interesting. I think I want to watch it. I might be exposing myself by saying that, so I might have to cut that out because I don't think it was in theaters when I watched it. Anyway, so yes, I did actually watch Parasite, and it was I loved it. I mean, it keeps you really engaged, and so I understand really why it ended up being so critically acclaimed. I am really shocked to hear that it's the first foreign language film. I mean, actually, I don't know if I'm shocked or not. I guess I'm shocked in the sense that it's 2020 and it's like the first foreign language film, considering there's been many incredible foreign language films. But I'm also not shocked because it's the Oscars. So, but yeah, like I think it's a great thing, and I think that what I've seen, it's definitely seems to have made South Korea proud. Just as a country, and I think that's always cool when you can, when you can sort of instill a sense of togetherness in the community that you come from, just because you accomplish something that has previously been seen as like, first and foremost, Oscars have always been seen as a prestigious award, but also just seen as a huge sort of obstacle to overcome, so to speak, or like a barrier to entry in a sense. I think it's cool. It's sad that there had to be a barrier of entry in the first place, but it's pretty cool. I understand. Some people just don't want to read films, is what they say. Like, I know Dre, even this film has done so well that it had Dre and Michelle. I know some of our listeners may not be familiar with her. She is Your Local Bird. I believe she was with Chris Brown at some point. She's been with some NBA players. And she's primarily known for a story involving her and her son, where she like left him in the house to eat. What's those little TV dinners called? Them little kid TV dinners. Do y'all know what they're called? What it's
Like the Hungry Man meals or whatever.
it's like that for kids.
Oh, they're just for kids.
It used to have commercials all the time on like Nickelodeon and stuff. Anyway, it's I'm gonna look it up because I have to know what it's called. Kid TV dinners. I'm gonna be mad about with the penguin. Kid Cuisine. So the running gag was that she left her son in the house with some with dog doo doo and Kid Cuisine. I'm gonna probably cut that out of the show, but that was what people were saying about her. But it even had her commenting, which is just so shocking because it's like two different worlds, right? In a sense. And so of course she made a comment about like, I gotta read the whole movie, which again, bird behavior, but I do kind of understand the idea of like having to read movies no matter what like language you speak natively. Like, I can understand why some people would think, oh, American people or British people, like, you're so privileged to say that. But I can totally understand, like, if, for example, there's a lot of American films that get exported to South Korea and China and all parts of the world. They have to read our movies too. You know what I mean? So I can so totally kind of get that, unless you just want like a horrible anime dub, which anime dubs anime dubs work better just because it's animated, right? Anyway, I got way off track. That's really an accomplishment, and it's an incredible movie. I suggest people check it out. But beyond that, I want to talk about Ace. Okay, Ace went from debuting in their draws to performing for the cast and crew of one of the most influential films in South Korean history, probably. That is quite a feat. I mean, I'm sitting up here looking at the stills right now from all their music show, countdown show performances, where they were literally like in their underwear to get attention, basically. So that's incredible. I think that they, if anything, they should be patting themselves on the back. I mean, I know that I did read that they had a connection, which got them, to perform. But even so, like, it's not like Ace is EXO status. They're not like the nation's boy band, they're not, they're still relatively new, I would say. So for them to get that sort of distinction, I feel like their stock has just went way up. I mean, do you guys feel like that's off base, or do you feel like them having this sort of, I don't know, I feel like you can get a lot of clout from that. Do you feel like Parasite has that much clout to make Ace's stock go up in the K-pop world? Like in South Korea, I should say.
I don't know. I don't know if like people are actually checking for Ace now. I don't know. So I don't. It's kind of strange. Just like the whole K-pop Parasite connection, because as you mentioned, it was kind of surprising to hear that Ace would be there at the post Oscar sort of party, the after party, and yeah, I don't know. I don't think that anybody's still checking for them. I mean, it's a great distinction. Oh, I'm not even anywhere near my mic. Whoever wrote that. Oh, sorry. I'm just waiting to see what you're typing.
Oh, nothing. That I just wrote.
Oh,
I literally
you know,
ellipses.
you know what? On like Apple and stuff, it's like you're waiting. That usually shows up when you're waiting for someone to type something. So I was like waiting for you to type something.
That's how you get brain off by Tim Cook and them. But I mean, I guess what I'm saying more so is I don't think they're all of a sudden going to become an overnight hit. I mean, it's been a week and they're not like at the top of the charts. What I'm saying is it gives them sort of a distinction. It's kind of like, for example, just to give an example, it's kind of like if all of a sudden Beyonce name drops you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like you have that.
Yeah, people might take you slightly more seriously, even if it's not like you're gonna just all of a sudden become overnight seller. We know how K-pop is. We know who K-pop is targeted towards. I don't think that's necessarily the case because the people who are into K-pop probably aren't necessarily high art people checking for Parasite and vice versa. But I will say that, like, imagine there's this post-Oscar party and there's these Hollywood types that are invited to that party, right? And they see that this okay, it's kind of like what the Oscars did for Parasite in a sense in America, right? It kind of put a spotlight on Korean cinema. At least that's what it seems like. If you look at the news, that's all people are talking about is Parasite and it's, the clout that it has now in a sense, which is that's a conversation for another day, but it's a fact, right? People might kind of have that same effect with Ace to a much lesser degree, just because, again, K-pop is more of an acquired taste than movies. I mean, most people like thrillers. For what it's worth, Parasite is very much a run-of-the-mill thriller. Like, it doesn't defy the genre in really any way, but it's just good in the way that it's written, right? It's not like Old Boy, where Old Boy had a lot of shocks and surprises around each corner. It's not like that. This has shocks and surprises, but once again, it's very much something that I could imagine if they did it in English, it would still be it would be just as great, right? It would be the same. I don't know how to explain it. Like I feel like you would barely be able to tell the difference between. I guess what I'm trying to say, it didn't have like a very specific Korean cultural element that stuck out to me. It very much like was a film that was focused on the wealth gap, which is a story for every country in the world. You know what I mean? It's not a specific to South Korea theme that it focuses on, right? But with that being said, my whole point is I just wonder if for that one person, people might go, oh, it might have more name recognition for Ace, even if it doesn't translate to sales. Does that make sense?
No, it does. And I agree. I absolutely do agree, because now people will be like, oh, well, before it was like Ace, who's Ace? Nugu group, Nugu, Nugu, Nugu. And now it's like, oh, Ace, they performed at the Oscars after party for, this historic moment in, like, Korea's just about to like name streets after these people and like open a museum. So
really?
I mean, yeah, like it is a big deal. Well, I don't know about the street thing, but they did say they wanted to open a museum for the director. So
like I can't think of any other film that has gotten that type of reception, like from its entire country. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's really funny because like the director, I can't remember his name. Is it Bong Hun?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Jong.
Okay. Jung Bong Cook. Okay. Yeah. I remember when they asked him about the Oscars, like, I don't know if it was like last year or whatever. He was like, well, you know, I don't really think about it much. It's a very local award show. And like to go and just sort of like sweep it the way that he kind of did, it's hilarious to me because it is local. I mean, it's great for worldwide recognition, yes. But I mean, you go like most international movie directors and producers and stuff like that, they're at film festivals, like the
Yeah,
Venice Film Festival, Cannes, you know, things like that. They're like the Oscars is like more of a Hollywood, you
yeah.
know, pat on the back in in a, I guess in a nutshell. So
I will say that the Oscars, even though we liken it to the Grammys a lot, the Grammys very much feels like the biggest award in music, whereas the Oscars
exactly.
feels like it's a huge award, but it also is competing with other, not necessarily awards, but I feel like mostly, like you said, the film festivals. Like people are like wanting to get into Cannes and Sundance, and you know what I mean. Well, those are the main big two that I can think.
Yeah.
Like the other film festivals are like, you know, nice, but they're not as nearly as prestigious, right? Um,
Yeah.
even though I will say you don't have to have any talent to get into Sundance. Like I honestly don't understand their criteria. Like I've seen some films that have made it to Sundance, and I was like, yeah,
Why?
why can we just like we should shut this entire film festival down?
Yeah.
It's very much like very it's not like where the music industry is kind of flipped. Like Grammy is to me the biggest award, but like Coachella is not necessarily the biggest festival. I mean,
No.
you also have to think about Bonnaroo and Glastonbury, and like you know, what I
Yeah.
mean, these are also huge. Burning Man is even a big festival. Like
Exactly.
South by Southwest, like these are all very like name recognition festivals. Coachella is just known, I feel like, more because of the association with like, let's be real, like cultural appropriation. And
Mhm.
sorry, see, I'm allergic to cultural appropriation. Even me saying it, it makes me cough and stuff. So, um, yes. So I very much get where you're coming from, but it's still I feel like it's still a huge distinction though, like for them to win Best Picture at the Oscars, because no matter what people want to say about like, no matter, even though the Oscars not the biggest film award in, I mean, it's not the only award in film, I should say, that matters.
Mhm.
It is very much like a symbol of the Hollywood film industry, which is by far the biggest film industry in the world. And it's and the American film industry in general just set so many precedents from different points in film history. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
And that's just a fact. Like that's not like me homering America. That's just like the film industry was born and raised in America in many ways, in classic Hollywood, golden age of Hollywood. And prior to that, the invention of the camera, these things like that. Even though technically you could say the invention of the camera was stolen, which is kind of true. But the invention of other things like combining sound with motion picture, you know, like little things like that. I feel like there have been major innovations that have come out of the American film industry, and that's the reason why it's the most prolific film industry. It produces beyond. I think Bollywood is only second to Bollywood, which Bollywood is a whole other beast. Okay, like Bollywood is like its own like. I feel like that's a level of being prolific that I don't know that the rest of the world could even touch. Also, India has over 1 billion people and it's only growing. So there's also that aspect. So I do think that it is quite an honor to be to receive that award and be recognized. Um, and it's interesting how they're like, I don't know, just the reactions to it are so interesting. And when I say it's an honor, I'm not saying it's an honor because it's an American award. I'm saying it's an honor because it broke the barrier of foreign languageness in a country that is very notorious for like people just don't do foreign language films. What do you think that is? Why do you think that we're more receptive to foreign do you think it's just like the idea that you have to read the movie or what? Because I feel like foreign language music, even though it hasn't necessarily won all of these 100 million awards, foreign language music is pretty, you know, it's not nearly as like taboo in a sense as foreign language film. Not even taboo. Taboo is not the right word, but you know what I mean.
Well, foreign language music is easy. You don't really need a lot of context.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to fall into it because of a melody, an instrumental, a voice, passion in the voice. With a movie and a television show, you have to know the plot. You have to kind of, there's a lot more factors involved, which, make it more difficult for some people.
But it's strange because I feel like foreign language TV does well. Like anime is like probably the biggest example of that. But foreign language film, very specifically, and I know people like obviously animes are shorter, right? It's like
Yeah.
5 hour anime. But I mean, I know people who watch foreign language television shows, but like when it comes to a movie, it's like another world for them. And I guess I wonder what you think.
Sorry, no, I was gonna say TV shows are more digestible than I feel like movies are. Movies, especially like foreign films, the the ones that people talk about tend to be the deep ones, the ones with these hidden meanings that open your mind and yada yada yada. Like nobody really recommends a really fun, laugh out loud sort of foreign film, like it's like Paradise. It's Parasite, sorry. It's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Like it's not like someone's recommending Dragon Ball Z,
like,
or Sailor Moon, or
right.
Sorry?
No, like I get what you like a big Hollywood tentpole action film, but in Korean.
Yeah.
Like nobody's recommending
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, I would say like if it was up to me and I had to watch an Oscar nominated film from like this Oscars, or a film from Bollywood that came out last year, I would watch the Bollywood film hands down. Like I wouldn't even think about it. And I mean, it says what it does about my own personal taste, obviously, but also just
well, there's even stuff like when I was in, middle school, I don't know if this is the same in Canada. And Ash, you can chime in on this because I know we were also in middle school at different periods of time, so that could be an issue. But when I was in middle school, one of the big things is we had to watch like a lot of Shakespeare stuff, and that is basically a foreign language. But people love that.
Well,
like that stuff is basically a foreign language.
They normalize like Victorian English and Elizabethan English, and like names like Michelangelo and shit like that. They normalize that stuff to us. They sort of remove the whole foreignness of it, even though it technically is foreign, because we also grew up on, Shakespeare and, like the classic is it black and white or early Technicolor? I can't remember, version of like Romeo and Juliet.
Oh my God, where they're wearing the little tights so you can see their balls like bouncing around.
Yeah.
Yes, that Romeo and Juliet. I mean, don't get me wrong, Romeo was kind of hot, like, but I could not with them outfits, girl.
What about you, Ash?
I mean, I think that there's a familiarity with it, like you said, like you grow up hearing about these stories and a lot of them you already generally know like the plot of, like Romeo and Juliet. You generally know what happens. So it's kind of this familiarity that keeps it from being, even though the language of the way that they're speaking is kind of foreign to the ear, they're still speaking a type of like English. And so yeah, I can see what Jimin is saying, but I still think there's a few barriers that, other, foreign language films have that, Shakespeare wouldn't have, obviously.
I'm gonna keep it real with you, Chief. I have nothing in common with like movies like 300, movies like, and I love like obviously the classics basically. When I say classics, I mean like Greek mythology, um Roman history, Greek history, but a lot of Shakespeare is based off of like Rome and like Rome, you know what I mean, like that type of stuff. There was a whole show on Netflix about the Medici's, like that. There's stuff like that that is completely foreign to the like average American citizen. Like I get Romeo and Juliet, right? Because um that's like historically popular, but then Shakespeare has stuff that's like less known than that. You know what I mean? Like the Taming of the Shrew is not. I mean, it's popular, but it's not nearly as popular as like Romeo and Juliet, or even like Hamlet. Um, there's like a lot, like Caligula was a movie that came out that was super popular, and I know that they're speaking like modern English, so it's not foreign in that sense. But it's like they do things that movie's weird though. I don't recommend watching that. Like
I've
I
heard
don't know if
about that
you guys have
film.
ever
Yeah.
heard about Caligula.
I don't know
That
what that is.
disturbing. It's basically based on like the Roman. I believe he was an emperor Caligula. You never heard of?
No.
Okay, well, yeah, girl. But like, there's a lot of stuff, even to like the Tumblr generation, which I feel like a lot of our listeners may be from the Tumblr generation. This whole generation knows, like, for example, me and Nat were talking about one of our favorite shows, Siren, right?
Yeah.
There's like a lot of shows that come out of Europe, not like the UK where they speak English. I'm talking about just like Norway and places like that where they speak Norwegian. You know what I mean? And people watch, but it's like a teen drama, and people watch it like religiously. But if it is a something that comes out of Thailand or like Nigeria, honestly, Nollywood, like it'd be hilarious, but for other reasons. You know what I mean? If it's something that comes out of another country like that, people have this aversion to it. Now I feel like it's a little bit changing with K-pop, but in general, there's an aversion to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like people are either like, not everybody, but I tend to find that people either fit into like TV box, movie box, or reading box. You know?
Really?
I know a lot of people who are like this. I'm not like this because I dabble in all three, obviously. But I know a lot of people who will only watch movies, like movies just in general. And it doesn't matter if they're foreign, it doesn't matter if they're like, usually actually are like more on the obscure side. And there are people who just like that's all they do, you know?
Mm.
And then there are people who like they don't really have the time to sit down and watch like a 2-hour movie, but they'll watch, like an hour TV show, and 22 episodes of it. Like there are people who just need to be immersed in the world a lot longer than you can be with a movie, and they
Yes.
prefer TV shows. And then there's some people who like just prefers the freedom to imagine with reading, you know? And so I think that the whole TV versus movie thing, it's one of those very interesting conversations that it's really hard to define because some people just like one or they like the other, whether it's in English, whether it's not in English, whether it's, a fun half an hour show, or if it's like a thrilling sci-fi space adventure, like there's just so like, it's so hard to sort of gauge why people like one over the other. Because I personally think that both are great. Sometimes I'm only in the mood for television, and sometimes I'm only in the mood for movies. But like, there's some people who are in the mood for both. In terms of foreignness, in like the whole idea of like you're reading your movie because it's on subtitles, I actually use subtitles for everything. I use subtitles for English shows. I use subtitles for foreign shows.
Oh, you just one of those people that like captions. Oh, I know people like that.
I love captions. Sometimes people be speaking very low and I can't understand them. So I actually really like captions. And honestly, on top of that, sometimes I'm like paying attention to like something someone's saying and I miss something else that somebody says. Like, no lie, I got Disney Plus. I watched Peter Pan on Disney Plus. That movie is a lot more racist than I remember it being. Okay.
Well, I mean, what did you expect from like classic Disney? Like,
no, I know, but like
pre-modern
here's
Disney.
the thing. I love Peter Pan. Peter Pan is like my second favorite Disney film. So I've watched it numerous times, but I never watched it with captions because like all my favorite lines I already knew. So like I didn't really like need them in the same way, but because I was watching it on Disney Plus and had the captions on anyways, I was like, sure, whatever. So I was like, the things that I hadn't paid attention to, I was like, wow, this movie is really racist. Like, wow. So captions, I prefer captions. I feel like I'm getting the full picture, and there's so many things sometimes that I miss, and it just helps. So for someone like me, I mean, I'm different obviously than Drea because Drea is
Yeah, she's a bird.
she's a bird. She really is a bird. Um, and I don't find them distracting, but I mean, I know a lot of people who do. A lot of people who hate any sort of subtitles or captions or what, like they hate it. And so for them, it would never like it wouldn't even be like about race or like indoctrination or like whatever. It's just that they hate captions, so they will not watch these movies.
No, I'm not saying that it's about race. I'm just wondering, like, is it more of a symptom of like? I mean, obviously, I do think that in some ways there could be a racial component, but I feel like people who say things like "I don't like to read movies" are just. I mean, that's like less race to me and more just like, I don't know, lazy or something. I don't know.
Okay, I can see that too. I know, like some people like wanted to make the comment, like, "Oh, people who didn't watch Parasite did it not because it's a bad movie or anything like that, but because they're racist." I mean, I didn't watch Parasite, so I'm just like,
I don't think not watching Parasite makes you racist. To
but
be honest,
some people, but like some people will make that argument. It's like it kind of reminds me of I'm all over the place right now. I'm sorry. It kind of reminds me of the whole like Reylo sort of thing with Star Wars and The Last Jedi. Not The Last Jedi. Sorry. What was the last one? The Rising of Skywalker.
Rising Skywalker.
Yeah. Rising. Yeah. So people were like all of these like white women who were trying to be like, oh well, you guys are just hating on us women for liking this relationship, and John Boyega is anti-feminist and he's this and he's that, and like clearly being very racist towards him, and then like trying to bully him, and then he comes out to defend himself, and it's like they're doubling down on the fact that they feel like he's like this hyper masculine asshole pretty much to women. Just women in general. That's how they're treating it.
Honestly, not everything is I have heard, because he said something like he would have got Ray or something like that, but I feel like honestly not everything is a social justice issue, not everything is a race issue, not everything is a sex issue or a gender issue.
But that's the thing, right? So that kind of comes to mind when I read like people saying that, oh, you're racist for not watching like Parasite, and I'm just like, dude, you know how many foreign things I watch just like in a week?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't need to watch Parasite to prove anything to you, And
yeah,
as I said, some people can't they can't keep up with the captions. I mean, there's so many like actual very valid reasons other than I don't like it, which I think is also very valid, for people not to watch Parasite and not to buy into or not want to watch anything that requires like a subtitle or a caption at the bottom. And I think
the same thing about K-pop too, right?
Yeah, yeah. People are like, it's fine for people not to like it. Like, it's not like, obviously there can be people who don't like it for racist reasons, but I've never really come across somebody who's like, I don't like K-pop because they're Asian. Like, I've never heard anybody say that before, like in all
I have heard like kind of ignorant comments, like stuff like Asian men are more like naturally more feminine, so that's why like K-pop boys or this, that, and other. I have heard stuff like that.
Oh no, I have absolutely. Or like, oh, how can you tell the difference between all the 9 members of EXO? I've definitely heard things like that before, but I've never heard someone say specifically, I don't like K-pop because it's Asian. Like,
To be very fair. Okay, I do want to be very fair here.
Yeah.
I don't think a person who I don't think people would actually say like that, like say that as the reason. Like it'll just be obvious in how they, you know what I mean? Like react
in Trump's America, and I say that as a spread
being Canadian.
Yeah, I don't, but I said that as a spread throughout the West because I mean, let's be real, fascist governments are rising everywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
So in this Western world,
I like Trump's America better.
unfortunately, okay, see, in Trump's America, people, you know, I wouldn't put past them to say that because there's no repercussion in a lot of ways.
That's true.
Uh, so people like I was listening to the read today and they were talking about Michael Bloomberg and like his policies in New York. And I was just like, well then, I'm
I'm not
not
gonna
paying attention to
pretend to
election.
know who that is. So,
Oh, isn't he running for president?
girl, I don't know.
Okay.
You are talking to the wrong person about that. Like, all I
Yeah,
know
he
is
is.
all I know is Bernie and then some other white guy that like is from South Bend, Indiana. Ash had to jump in. Ash is like my mom sometimes. She has to jump in and be my parent because I'm not responsible.
Okay.
Yeah,
'Cause
he's
I was like,
basically like buying his way into the
Fair enough. You got
contest.
the money to do it. You do you.
Yeah.
didn't he like get Yolanda Adams to sing it something for him?
I heard about
Yeah,
that.
he did,
I need to
which was
see
weird.
what is with these gospel singers
It's so funny. I'm sorry.
singing
Like
for
it's like
politicians. I guess these politicians just figure, oh well, black people love them some
I
worship
was
and
about
praise
to
music.
say, you want to get the blacks, get some gospel singers on there. 'Cause
I'm
we
like, you're targeting the wrong people. Most young blacks, I won't say don't like gospel singers, but it's not like it's our thing, if that makes sense. I like gospel music, but like most young black people, I don't think in
It's not
America
like the
are.
trendy thing to like gospel
No.
music.
No,
gospel music is lit though.
it's
It's
lit.
yeah,
But what I'm saying is like the young voters, when I say young voters, I mean like 18 to 25.
yeah.
Well, they're not they're not really listening to gospel music. Like,
No. It's for the aunties and the grown ups in that way. I guess that's
yes.
what they want to get. But yeah, like to connect it all to what I was talking about in a very long winded type of way. Um, yeah, I don't. It's hard to tell for me. Like it's hard to sort of like it's still something I'm wrapping my brain around, anyways. Like with the success of Parasite and if it's going to change how people see foreign films, if it's going to change how people see like this, especially with this like rising in Korean exposure, I guess, out here, if that's going to also be affected. Like is there going to be this sort of this moment for Korean films like there was for K-pop, where like BTS blew up and like all these other groups sort of like started filtering in and doing all these bigger things. If that's going to be the same with Parasite.
Honestly, no, because there's still the argument that people are making now that the only reason why I won an Oscar in the first place is because the Oscars felt guilty for like the Oscar so white stuff. So
Mm,
there's that. I mean, people are saying that. I don't necessarily agree with that all the way because Oscar So White was very much, I think, focused. It's like an American movement in a sense.
yeah, I was about to say
Um,
it's not really like, but
but that doesn't change public perception. Just because we know facts doesn't mean
yeah.
public perception is the same,
I was
right?
also going to say it's not like non-black people haven't co-opted sort of black movements as well too for
Well,
their
because
own end.
like
Yeah.
also too, you have to look at it this way too. Like another reason why I don't agree with that is because you had like stuff like Crazy Rich Asians that obviously was. I don't want to say it was trash because I didn't see it, but that type of stuff to me, I don't like that type of stuff. I feel like that type of stuff is trash. But um, it didn't. It ain't like people respected Crazy Rich Asians just because all of a sudden people are trying to like, what I mean, buy the respect of Asian people.
Well, yeah, and I think too, it came out in the same year as Black Panther, I think. So they had like the two casts sort of and I'm doing a lot of photo shoots and stuff like that, or like photo ops together for that reason, because it's like, oh look, we got the blacks and the Asians. We got diversity, guys.
Do y'all know that the blacks and Asians are very different?
I know. I know. But
Okay.
but you
That's a
see,
whole
like,
other conversation.
yeah, see, that's a thing, right? Like I don't know. It's complicated. But there was that BTS thing where like people were saying BTS paved the way for Parasite. Is that like a thing that happened?
That is a thing that happened.
Okay.
Ash can talk more about that though, because I don't want to get the facts wrong.
Oh, well, you were kind of the one that told me.
Was I don't remember this. I feel like that's not a fact.
I feel like you're the one that kind of told me about that. About at least about the ones that were saying that BTS, without BTS and K-pop blowing up, that this is like the natural evolution of that is Parasite winning.
I did remember seeing Twitter posts about that, I will say. And I do know, I guess my brain is like blocking that out because I try to tend to block out garbage takes. But it was this sort of like K-pop set the precedent. And yes, it was the whole BTS paved the way thing. Um, I feel like people are starting to think that if anything is Asian, that somehow it's popular because K-pop is popular. And K-pop and I think the irony uh, that applies to all of this is that
Mhm.
K-pop is not popular. So I feel like it's so ironic when people say that because I'm like, I don't think K-pop has as much clout, like nearly as much clout as you think it does. Like,
Yeah, and also like if any Asian culture is going to take credit, I feel like Japan pretty much won that. So
yeah, like if you ask any average person, like any
yeah.
average person, anything they know about Asian culture or anything they know about an Asian country. I mean, obviously China is a big country, but I'm talking about like the deep, intricate aspects of like the entertainment industries of these countries. First
Yeah.
and foremost, people will probably be shocked to hear. Never mind. That's gonna sound messed up on my part. I don't believe this, but I will say that a lot of people might be like, China has an entertainment industry because a lot of people actually it's so strange. I was having a conversation with a fair skin no, how do I put this? A I don't want to say white. And I hate the term fair skin. Um how about blush American?
What is a blush American?
Like,
What
you
is
know, like rosy cheek, like little what's that
okay?
little girl that played not the little girl that played Annie, the little Judy Garland girl, what's her name? Uh, Rose. She got a drink name after her. Shirley Temple, like
Shirley
a little
Temple. Yeah.
Shirley Temple American. That's what we're gonna call it. Um,
Okay.
I was speaking with a Shirley Temple American, and the only thing it seemed like this person knew about China was their government and coronavirus.
Mm.
And that was how the conversation that's how it became me kind of like I mean, I wasn't caping because I don't do that, but I was kind of trying to explain that, you know, there's way more to this country besides you know what I mean? Like it's kind of
Yeah,
ridiculous to
that's all
reduce it to
you.
that.
Yeah.
Because like the whole thing was is this individual was saying to me, um, I am so happy I don't have to live in a country like China. And just because there's no rights, there's all these restrictions, which I mean, I don't mind critiquing governments. Like Chinese government is a hot mess. So is American government. You know what I mean? So when this person was saying that, I was like, okay, this is really awkward because your own government is garbage, but okay. Um, but basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is it seems like the average person they if but when you talk about Japan, like they'll at the very least know like stuff about anime, like the Japanese entertainment industry. They won't know anything about the Chinese entertainment industry, but but they'll know stuff about like anime, right? Or
Yeah.
they'll know like small things about like maybe a Japanese actor who was in an American movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Stuff like that. I cannot say the same thing about K-pop. Like
Nope.
I don't the average American person you talk to them, they're not gonna be able to be like honestly, I had to every person I talked to about K-pop, I still have to explain who BTS is. They have never heard of BTS.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest group in K-pop.
I usually get people who are like, "Oh, I heard your group was at this thing, and like 50% of the time it'll be BTS, but the other 50% of the time it'll just be a random group that just happens to
Yeah.
be in Toronto. And they'll be like, "Oh, I heard your group is here. What's their name? What's their name?" I'll be like, "BTS." And they're like, "Yeah, they're playing here." And I'm like, "That was NCT."
Yeah, I'm deceased. Like
You know,
that's
like
serious. Like for real. And or it'll be like, when TMZ just came under fire because they confused Ace with BTS. And I'm like, BTS has literally been confused with like any K-pop group who has had any connection to America, except for Super M, ironically, so far.
mm.
So it's like even the most popular group doesn't have the name recognition that I think a lot of K-pop fans think it has, you know?
Well, I feel like because like K-pop itself is so saturated with news from, specific groups that are like always, breaking records and doing things. Like when we step out of the K-pop bubble, you start to see like what's going on in the real world, and just that fact that what you're seeing a lot of is not necessarily what people out who are not interested in K-pop, or maybe are in the peripheral of K-pop, are even interested in. So I think that's also something to sort of keep in mind. Like, yeah, in the K-pop world, things like performing at these award shows and stuff like that, that's huge. But for most people who are watching these award shows, they're just like, oh, these are more people I don't know. Like
Right.
it's like,
And
yeah.
it's like okay, I'm so glad you said that. You mentioned it that way because too, it makes me think of like keep going, keep talking on your
Oh,
talking
me?
point. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I know. I was just gonna say that, like, I feel like if anything was going to break into mainstream American market, I don't feel like it was gonna be K-pop. I felt like like it was always going to be something like a film or a drama.
Yep.
And in some ways, I feel like the dramas have, and the variety shows definitely have, like the King of the Masked Singer is a huge
Oh
hit.
yeah. Or like The Good Doctor. Even
Yeah,
though
or
it's
The
an
Good Doctor.
American
Yeah.
show, it's very heavily like like the Korean influence is everywhere. I mean, it even tells you the creator of the show is a Korean person, like in the opening credits. Like
Yeah.
it's not shy about that. And I totally agree with that sentiment just because this might sound really strange, but
Mhm.
like American culture right now is really big on this sounds really strange, but it's like really big on like the Tumblr generation stuff. So like certain type of things that are really popular in K dramas like very much represent like the flower boy concept. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that is becoming really, really mainstream, especially like the TikTok. It's actually past the Tumblr generation and what's like the TikTok generation where like you've got these like softer portrayals of men.
Mhm.
And that is really like making headway. So a lot of these K dramas that have these portrayals of men as being more like sensitive or maybe like more like feminine esque. I really hate saying it this way, but these are the terms that people like can understand, right? Like
Yeah.
that stuff is really gaining steam. People like that, especially like these teenage girls and teenagers in general, which are really kind of like the people that set the trends. I mean, I hate to
Yeah.
say it, it's the facts. Teenagers set the trends. So these teenagers are picking up on these K dramas and they're like making them super popular, or like just different things out of Korean media, or like anime. Teenagers made anime popular.
Well, yeah. I mean, yes. Back in the day, we did.
Back in the day, I mean, nowadays everybody watches anime. Like grown adult,
Yeah.
well, be part.
It's because we've grown up. That's why grown adults are watching
That's what I'm saying. That's why you have to hear what I'm saying. Like we've grown up, and our generation that started the anime sort of wave in
Yeah.
watching it. How they always have like the jokes about like the black kids who watch anime, and I
Yeah.
feel like there was this whole Twitter thread one time about like black kids popularizing anime because every black kid I know for real watched Dragon Ball Z and everybody like Naruto, like everybody was like copying those moves. You know what I mean? There's black anime kids. That's like their thing, right? I feel like that's a fact.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Like, I remember just being a kid watching I never really got into Naruto, but like Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, especially. I was a huge Gundam Wing fan. I still am, and Escaflowne and stuff like that. And I was really into these shows about these. I was never into Flower Boys, even when I was a teenager. But I was sort of into these like
That's
macho,
also
like
not your generation, though.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's and I mean for me, I didn't really know I knew black nerds, but I didn't know really any black kids that were like personally that were into anime like I was into it. So I kind of just did that on my own.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
I need to make a huge distinction here.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
And
Yeah.
it's no offense to you and Ash at all. Please don't take this the wrong way.
Yeah.
I'm a clean like 10 years younger than both of you guys. So like I grew up in the early even though I grew up in the 90s, so to speak, because like I learned how to walk and talk and stuff like that in the 90s. Really what shaped and formed my childhood and what I feel like my generation was shaped and formed by, like I'm a part of the Tumblr generation. You guys are not. You guys were grown when the Tumblr generation came around, right? That is not a shade to either one of you. I love you guys. I love like everything about 80s babies. I'm just saying like I need to make a distinction because I think I might be mischaracterizing your generation by saying like there was a ton of anime kids. Because in my generation, there were a ton of anime kids, at least where I grew up. Like, I feel like even for example, there's anime influence in hip hop, a lot of it. Like Soldier Boy, for example. He was one of the people that like, oh yeah, I read manga. Like Chris Brown. I know we don't like these people necessarily, but like these sort of hip hop R&B figures really, really liked anime. And people that I knew, like it wasn't necessarily considered nerdy. Like when I was in like elementary school, middle school, it was considered actually kind of like cool. Just like liking rock music was considered like counterculture. It was like alternative. It was cool. Does that make sense? Ash, I feel so bad. I don't want you to be mad at me. But does that make sense what I'm saying?
No, I'm not mad. It totally makes sense. I mean, every generation, I think, kind of, like you said, we kind of like started the whole thing like we're in like anime, for example, came through and it was like a niche thing, and only like otakus or whatever just watched it. And then, as each generation comes up and kind of, you know, they're more exposed to it, earlier, and it just becomes, a more part of the culture, and it's not as weird a thing as it, may have used to have been. I mean, so yeah, I get that completely. I mean, I didn't watch anime until like my like 20s. So, I mean, I used to think it was weird too. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely get it. As I said, like as I was saying before you said that as well too, when I was a kid and like that's when I think that's when like networks realized that there was a market for it. But like me saying that I didn't know anybody is just like I honestly like maybe people did watch it and I didn't know, but we didn't have like the type of communication I feel like we do now with the internet, especially where you can find people who have same hobbies, same things, and you can kind of like you don't have to be in that same school. You don't have to even be friends, like like you see each other every day, sort of like to be sort of into the same things and sort of like enjoy it in the same way. So like a lot of things that I liked growing up as a kid, I mean, I kind of just liked them on my own. I just continued about it. Like I'm kind of the same way as an adult too. So maybe it's just my personality. But no, I definitely agree that like by the time like you like in the 2000s, I guess is kind of where you're going with that. Like the 2000s, people were like it was okay to be open about these things. Versus before it was just like that's a thing you liked and you just kind of moved on. Like it wasn't it I don't know, it just hit differently. And so you had, like Michael B. Jordan now saying that, he's huge into Dragon Ball Z and like, inspired him and all these things and like talking about Soldier Boy and Chris Brown and things like that. Yeah, like these are definitely people who now can go about and say that. Like, can you imagine in like 2000, like 1991, Puff Daddy coming out saying he likes, I don't know, what was really big, Cowboy Bebop? Like, I just can't imagine that. I really can't. So, like, it is a generational thing, and it's definitely like shifting tastes, shifting interests. I think the opening up of the world with the internet also helped. So there's a lot of factors that sort of like fed into that. But in terms of what were we talking about before that?
Well, also too, like Boondocks, and like when I feel like that really put anime on the map for Black kids and Black people in general, because it's like a Black anime, right? Like you could start to relate to the characters more, see yourself in their position, and that style became familiar
it
to
was
you
a
because
style. Yes, the style
yeah,
specifically.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, even though it didn't have those like necessarily like the anime tropes that you often find in anime, like the shonen animes, or like, you know, like the friendship is like the key to saving the world kind of things, or the tournaments, like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those are very specific anime tropes that when shows like Boondock started coming along, and like Black Dynamite and those types of shows, that is not, I mean, Black Dynamite more so, but like Boondocks had really no real anime tropes. It just had the style.
It just
And
had the style, but it familiarized a lot of people with that style.
exactly.
Yeah, because
And
you're moving away from like what we're familiar with, which is like The Simpsons, Family Guy, you know, those like very Western style, I guess, animations,
yes.
into something that's completely like, it does look like Boondocks does 100% look like a Japanese anime. It's just like as soon as they open their mouths, you know that it's not.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, like, you know, going back to what we were talking about before, and how like if you want to talk about things that open the door and just, you know, worldwide recognition, yeah, Japanese culture, like people can tell you things about the Yakuza. You know, people can tell you things about animes and mangas, and
Japanese food.
Japanese
Japanese
food is
food kind of took over the
everywhere.
world. Like
Exactly.
it started off with like sushi, and now it's ramen. Like ramen is the thing.
Ramen is the thing. Actually,
They
my
have a
friend,
ramen shop in the NBA 2K game.
oh, that's cool.
You
Well,
can
my
go to the
friend,
ramen shop.
when she was living in Korea, she said she went to Japan for like a weekend, whatever, and she's like basically like it's just ramen. Ramen is like the new craze over there too. So it's not just the rest of the world. It's like the new thing. Like people are really, I guess Japanese people are more gung ho about ramen again as well too. So it's crazy, right? But like these are things that people can talk about. People don't know much about kimchi except for the fact that they think that it doesn't smell nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally love kimchi. I think it
I love
tastes
kimchi
great.
too.
I think it smells great. I think everything about it is great. It's good for your body. But yeah, there were like, I remember there were like a bunch of articles last year when BTS like, you know, started hitting it big, and I guess people just wanted like clickbait, and they're like, oh, you know, people complain about the smell of kimchi. And some Korean people like on Not Netizen Buzz or one of those things where they're commenting, they're like, yeah, you know, maybe we should do something about making it more Western friendly. And some people were like, hell no, this is our thing. Like, if they want to eat it, they will eat it, you know? Like not everything they want to eat smells great, you know, like, so it's one of those things where like if you want to talk about, you know, influential Asian culture, let's talk about Japan, you know, like let's talk about Kung Fu.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Come
I
on.
mean, that was the original, like, I
Yeah.
feel, introduction of America to Asian culture, specifically Black Americans. Like, you got like
Yes.
whole, like, entire, like,
Genres.
hip hop concepts that are
Yes.
based on Kung Fu. You got Black exploitation films, which are based a lot, very heavily on Kung Fu. Bruce Lee is like a Black American hero.
Yeah.
Like,
It's sorry, no, I was about to say like to sort of link everything together, so it doesn't seem like we're just talking in circles here.
oh yeah.
But like because we are Black people and we talk about K-pop.
Yeah, I don't think it's talking in circles though.
Oh, no, I just feel like we're kind of jumping from topic to topic, so I'm kind of like, yeah,
no
that's what I mean.
focus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like I'm trying to like round it out, like especially with like our theme of our podcast and things like that. But just in general, like look, talking about generational shifts, talking about kung fu and blackness and their relationship with kung fu, like in hip hop, as you mentioned, in film and things like that, and then combine it with Black people in K-pop. And isn't it like a mirror of each other? Isn't it like kind of crazy how we, like, even back then, Black people were sort of looking for non-white media to immerse themselves in. They got into kung fu and it, like, you know, blew up, and it blew up in the West mostly because of Black people. And then we have this shift to K-pop. And I mean, did anybody know, like, did anybody really care about BTS before Black people on Twitter started hyping them up?
No. But
Okay.
you know what too though, like in regards to K-pop, what another, I guess, why people might be more reluctant to K-pop than they were previously to anime and kung fu. I think it's because the novelty of anime and kung fu came from the fact that, like, there had historically been no contact between Black American or really anything American and anything Asian, right? And so there was not even an influence there. Like when K-pop first came over. Oh, I'm hearing an echo, by the way.
Let me.
Okay, let's. Oh, I don't hear anymore. Okay, when K-pop first came over, I do want your input on this though. When it first came, I mean not K-pop, but when kung fu and anime first came, like made its way into the American consciousness, cultural consciousness, those particular areas, I feel, had not been like though. For example, I feel like the influence of like the Motown generation had not been prevalent in Japan and China and South Korea yet. Like the whole idea of like rock and roll had not been introduced because they were still very isolated then. I mean, before really World War II, the entire East Asia, I feel like had not had a lot of influence from Black American culture, in American culture in general. So that meant that there was also, in a way, almost like poetically or naturally, not as much racial kind of conversation or racial tension even. And I know we said we don't want to talk that much about race, but I do think this is an interesting thing to note. One thing that you cannot say about K-pop, K-pop has American culture written all over it. It has Black American culture written all over it. And in another breath, it also has the racism of written all over it. It has a lot of the barrier to entry, I feel, is because there is this history of K-pop groups saying racist things, being racist, cultural appropriation. That stuff didn't really come with Kung Fu, or nor did it. I mean, anime, there was racism, obviously. I think that it wasn't as prevalent because, once again, we're in a more connected world and it's a lot easier. And then we're also living in a different time where what constitutes as racial insensitivity might be a little bit more like gray. Like there's a lot more gray area now than there was, because back, I feel like a long time ago, I was just watching a movie. Okay, this sounds like a tangent, but it's gonna come back all together perfectly. Do you guys know the movie Beauty Shop with Queen Latifah?
Yep.
Okay, I was just watching that movie, and the white girl in that movie, they like had gave her like braids. They had her doing all kind of stereotypical like twerking stuff, and they had like this whole idea of like ghetto is bad. There's even the movie Are We There Yet with like Ice Cube. They like the little Black kids were saying, well, we don't listen to 50 Cent because we're not ghetto. Instead, we listen to Disney music. Like, you know what I mean? There was this idea that like quote unquote ghetto was like bad and there was a good way to be Black. And it had a lot of really outdated ideas. And I think that if you introduce that type of media in 2020, Black Twitter would be up in arms. There were even things like and I know that in Beauty Shop more so than Are We There Yet? Because Are We There Yet? There was a comment where the kid was like, my mom said that if a man is in his 30s and he's single, he's either damaged or gay. And then the part about being damaged wasn't the insult. Gay was the insult, right? or like in Beauty Shop where they suspected old boy to be gay, and they just kept making all kind of like, hey, sister girl kind of stuff. Like that type of media wouldn't get trashed in 2020. Imagine, could you imagine something like that coming out in 2020? Like,
Yeah, no, I don't. It's kind of crazy though that how recent those films are and how much what's acceptable has changed.
right.
I
And
mean, it's not to say that that is acceptable because I mean, when you think about it, it is problematic when you think about
very
the punchline.
problematic.
Yeah, when you think about what the punchline is.
Right.
But yeah,
And I'm saying all of that to say,
yeah.
like, 20 years ago, like, even if an anime might have seemed racist and you felt like it might have had a racist element, but you didn't know why, like, you know what I mean? It was kind of like not a big deal. I hate to say it, but it kind of wasn't. Like, racial jokes were like, comedians didn't get like in trouble for saying like making racial jokes back then. Like, and that was just 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Whereas
No, it's
now,
like yeah, I see what you mean. It's like
K-pop.
yeah, well, even anime is kind of under fire now too in a lot of ways. Like when you talk about things like Mr. Popo on Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And like it's really funny though, because honestly, for the longest time, I was like, what is he supposed to be? Like I was just more
Right.
confused and actually slightly terrified because he was so creepy looking
Yes.
that I didn't really think about it. Until I started watching Dragon Ball Abridged and like they made jokes about it, just like, are we gonna talk about this? Are we like really gonna be talking about this? Because like I don't know, maybe because like it is such an old thing and you like it's such something that you've accepted for so long, you kind of just don't think about it anymore. You
Yeah.
know, it's kind of the idea. But I mean, obviously, it is very problematic, and I don't know, like it's historically, even when kung fu was coming over here, the Japanese did buy into white supremacy and and they actually did look down on black folk, but it wasn't as overt as like JYP in an afro dancing with a whole bunch of
Yeah.
people in blackface, you know?
Right. Or like, the K-pop stars casually dropping the N-word, or like casually
Yeah.
just like arguing with black people about like their own hair. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it was a different sort of world. It wasn't as like in your face as K-pop is. K-pop is very much like in your face, like this is black stuff that we just do, like that's
yeah.
the thing. Like it is a bit different. And I don't know, maybe that's why K-pop for a lot of people, especially black people. I mean, I know black people who will never ever ever listen to K-pop in their
Same.
entire life. And I
Mhm.
mean, I have nothing to say about that because I totally get it. Like,
Yep.
I totally get it. So it is one of those things. Whereas they would be more open to watch something like Parasite because there's not there that racism that we know K-pop isn't connected to their films as much,
Yeah,
And
that
so
very much.
and the thing is also like the things that are prevalent in K-pop are so widespread in K-pop. Like it doesn't matter what company you're from, it doesn't matter, what group you're from. Like there has been some sort of like racially insensitive, ignorant, whatever thing that has happened. Versus like in the films, you can watch Train to Busan and you can watch Parasite, you can watch The Host, and there's so many different things that you can sort of consume, and it's not as sort of like insulated as K-pop is,
Yeah. There
K-pop is
was
a very insulated world where you
yeah.
have the music shows, you have, specific agencies, they work with specific writers and specific music video directors, and they have these award shows that they go to, and like it's a very insulated community. Like if they go on international tours, they work with specific promoters. Like it is a very insulated world, whereas with film, like you just get somebody to produce it. Hopefully you can host it at one of these film festivals. You can get, international funding. You can kind of like do your own thing. You're not tied down in the same way. And
Yeah,
you're not
like
tied down to the Korean public as well in the same way.
that's very
Like,
true.
so it is like, I would say that it is much easier, in my opinion anyways, to like get into a Korean film versus like a Korean drama or K-pop, because you could pick up that movie, like it, and move on, you know?
Yeah, and if you think about it too, like unless you're just like a film head, like a film nerd,
Yeah.
like you're not really gonna look into like all of the actors and the director and their history and everything
Yeah.
they've ever said. Whereas with K-pop, like you said, there's this fandom component, right? So
Exactly.
you're gonna want to like the people in a sense. And so
Yeah.
I noticed that really just in music in general, when people like something in music, I can hear myself talking. The feedback is like confusing me. But when people like something in music, they it's like you become more dedicated to it than a movie, like because a movie is kind of a one-off thing in very many senses of the word, whereas an artist that they're going to keep being the same artist no matter what kind of album they do, or a group, it's usually going to keep being the same route, you know what I mean? So you get more invested, and that also could be a reason why like K-pop hasn't broken in the same way that media from other parts of the world, specifically like Asian media, has broken. So yeah, I think this is all really interesting. Just kind of get into the anatomy of like why not K-pop, but why anime or why Parasite. You know, it's just really interesting to me.
And also, nobody paved the way for Parasite. Okay? Like Parasite did what it did on its own because, according to a lot of people, it is a fantastic film about capitalism and how much it sucks, which is even funnier, like when you look at the fact that it's Hollywood that's embracing a movie like Parasite, which is, from by all accounts, extremely critical of Hollywood and the rich people in it. But I digress on that because
With Parasite, I
yeah,
didn't get, when I was watching Parasite, the main thing that I got is critical of the wealthy.
yeah,
Well, extremely critical. That's like the main focus. But
yeah,
I think that it's also kind of critical of the way our society values like perfection in a sense, because there's like I'm not gonna spoil too much, but there's like well, this part is in the trailer where the mom says that her son is like an artistic genius. So like whole reason why they hired the tutor in the first place is because they want their children to be perfect, which is something that every society can relate to, right? So
mhm.
but I'm really interested that you said you got the vibe that it was like critical of Hollywood, because I didn't really
Well, I didn't
see
watch
those
it.
elements.
I didn't watch it. I just
Like
by
what
like
people said.
what people were saying about it, and just like my friends at work, they watched it and they, explained like about the plot and things like that. It's like I wouldn't. Okay, I did say Hollywood, but I mean mostly I meant really just rich people.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
because I was like,
yeah,
that might be looking at it through like a Western or like an
yeah,
American lens, because
exactly.
I didn't get it Hollywood specifically. I didn't get Hollywood at all. I got like you said, rich people for sure though.
Yeah, but I mean, because Hollywood is made up of rich people, it was
Yeah,
kind of
but
just
I
like
got
really
more so like
funny.
Chebo culture though,
Okay, so you
which
mean
is the
like
very specific type of
the
rich.
very, yeah,
Like rich
the
families and like you know what I mean, like a
Gossip Girl
family.
rich, Gossip Girl
I'm
rich.
not familiar with Gossip Girl, so
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Well, they
I'm one of
were just
those.
like basically rich family, like kids with wealthy parents in New York City, and like the top of the top, the upper echelon, and like they went to school and basically they just had sex with each other and like plotted
Okay,
against each other. And
sounds like Pretty
there was
Little
that one
Liars.
time, yeah, well, there's this one time that like what's his face, Chuck, tried to sell his girlfriend for a hotel. Like there's a lot going on in Gossip
Excuse me?
Girl.
How do you sell a human being for a hotel? What human being is worth as much as a hotel, except for like, I guess if you have like self worth, you know?
You know they're gonna reboot that show with a
Gossip Girl.
Why?
supposedly new diverse cast. That's what they claim.
It's not Gossip
Uh,
Girl if it's not all white, to be
yeah,
honest.
like that's the whole point, that they're all white people.
I hate that we're two black people saying this. I'm
Yeah,
like,
no. I mean, but it's the point. It's like when they did the OC. Like it makes sense. There's all these white people like with their drug problems and people cheating and shit like that. This is
like
like that's the white stuff that I want to
I
watch.
want to
Okay?
see. Yes, I want to
Exactly.
see. Okay, we're gonna cut this out the show, but I want to see white people being failures. That's what I want to see.
Yeah,
I don't want to see white people thriving. I can see that in real life.
Yeah, like we don't need to see that. We want the fantasy.
I'm dead that our fantasy is this. That's funny.
But yes, in closing, congratulations to Parasite. Maybe I will watch you one day. I have actually enjoyed other films by
Sorry.
Bong Joon-ho. So
Mhm.
I think that, maybe one day if I'm in a mood to watch something that's not just a comedy or fantasy, I'll want to watch it. But anyways, yes, as I said, congratulations to Parasite. Congratulations to the cast. And, they did it on their own. They didn't need any help from K-pop in the K-pop world, and stop trying to take credit for their work. No one's trying to take credit for your work, so please don't do it.
I want to add to that, and I want to say, actually, Old Boy paved the way. So K-pop did not pave the way; it was Old Boy. Anybody who knows anything about film, because here's how I feel: if you can get Spike Lee to remake your movie, that's how you know your movie has crossover appeal. Because Spike Lee, quite literally, he makes very black movies. Put it that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
Oh, I
What is
forgot that
next?
Old Boy was Korean. I for the
You
longest
thought I've been
time.
talking about the American version this whole time?
No. I
Oh.
just knew about it from the manga version. So I was like, I always thought like one day I never watched the movie, right? So I mean, I'm just like coming in from a place of ignorance here. But whenever people talk about Old Boy, I thought like, oh, it's a Japanese manga, so they probably made like a Japanese version of it. But the really popular one is a South Korean version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't realize that. All right, you learn something new every day.
But it's got okay. Now that you say it like that, though, you can totally see the Japanese parallels.
Yeah.
It's also
Oh,
really
absolutely.
just a creepy storyline, but it's so good. Like the way that it's done is really what is executed very well. So, what's next?
Yeah. I thought that was it. Ash?
Oh, that was it. Oh,
Yeah, that was the only thing we were going to talk about, right?
I thought we were gonna talk about J Park, but okay.
Oh, I thought we had decided to move that to the next one.
Oh,
Yeah,
we
I think
did.
Destiny
Okay.
and J
All
Park.
right. Well,
So I guess we'll do a closing.
yeah.
Yeah, well, first of all, we have a special announcement, and I will throw it over to Nat to kind of give the particulars.
Okay. Weird. Okay. Hi, lads. So we have started our new website, which I hope that you are all checking out and enjoying. We definitely want to put a lot more content on it. We're just, in the midst of deciding what we want to do and how we're going to build the Nyan. I don't want to say empire, but I kind of want to say empire.
Brand,
So
maybe.
empire just sounds so much cooler. But
Okay.
anyways, the Nyan brand. And so we do have a Patreon up, and we're not telling you guys to donate any money to it. But if you'd like to donate, money for a coffee or something like that, please feel free. Everything we do is because we love it and we're passionate about it, and we really enjoy talking to each other and sort of like sharing our passions, but we don't get paid for it. We all have jobs. And so sometimes we can't do the things that we would want to do with the podcast and with the website because we do have jobs. So, I mean, if you guys have anything you want to, do to sort of support us, definitely reach out to us, like, share, retweet, respond, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your grandma, just tell everybody. But also if you can, and you have some coinage to share or to spare, please feel free to go to our Patreon and hit us up. It'd be greatly appreciated. And I don't know what we're gonna do, if we're gonna like mention it on the podcast or if we're gonna do post about it, but I mean, we're definitely so super crazy appreciative of everybody who takes the time to listen to us and to comment and to share. And I mean, we're not the Read or any of those like Shane Dawson type of things, but we definitely appreciate everybody who, shouts us out and gives us a listen and a like and things like that. And we want to continue to bring you content that you like and bring you content that we are passionate about and we love and we care about. So as I said, if you guys have, want to help us out, just go to our website. I'm not sure where on the website the Patreon link is, but I'm sure that we have it in a place where
I've been muted this whole time. It's on the contact page, I believe.
It's
Is
on
it
the
on the contact or the about page?
Okay, so there you go. According to Jimin, it is on the contact page or the about
so
page.
Unprofessional. Where can we find the Patreon if we just want to go directly to your Patreon? What's your name on Patreon?
Is it Not Your Average Netizen?
Oh my God, pull it up. Pull it up on the internet.
Look, it's like 12 o'clock, okay? It's a long weekend. It was busy at work today. I was supposed to go to the gym. I didn't even get to go because I didn't leave work till like 6:45. So you know what, guys? I'm tired. I'm sorry. I'm pulling it up though. I am definitely pulling it up. Alex.com. Oh, are you guys waiting for me? Because I'm actually pulling it up. So I don't know if you guys want to say something in the meantime.
Oh, I don't. I mean, I can cut this part out.
Okay, perfect.
like the silence and stuff.
Okay, good. Okay.
And also too, like in terms of editing it, Ash, can we split it down the middle?
Yeah, we're trying to get it out by Friday.
Like I'm not gonna be. I work 2 nights in a row. Like
yeah, it's a lot.
I'm on the website. Hold on.
I forgot. Were we connected to Patreon with Google?
I thought so, or at least.
Okay, let me try our Not Your Average Netizens account and see if that's what it's on.
Let's see, contact. Okay, because Patreon is not here on the website, so
it is.
It's Nyan Edisons.
Okay, spell that for the listener. So say it, and then tell them where to find it, and then I'll cut all of this unnecessary stuff, but just start from the top.
You must be 18 plus to view this content on our Patreon. What's on our Patreon?
Oh yeah, because we said we were going to put 18 plus content on there.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, I could change that, but
that's fine. Okay. No, it just surprised me when I clicked on it. I was like, oh, okay. So basically, if you have it to spare and you want to help us out, please go to our website, which is at Nyan Netizens, so NYANETIZENS.wixsite, which is WIXSITE.com. And on the contact page, under Drop Us a Line, it says you can reach us by mailing us at notyouraverage.netizens@gmail.com or using this form. And then for support, we have our Patreon, which is www.patreon.com/NyanEtizens, which is NYANETIZENS. And also, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and SoundCloud. All the regular hangout spots.
Thank you very much, Nat. Good job. Do we have any shout outs?
Yes.
Shout out to Monsta X for All About Love. My new favorite album of 2020. I feel like it's going to be my favorite K-pop album of the year because it dropped the same time. I listened to Dreamcatcher first this morning, and then I listened to Monsta X. And Dreamcatchers, I thought I was gonna love, was all right. Monsta X's album is just everything. It's so good. It is like a romantic sort of like love album. So I mean, if you're not into that, you're probably not gonna like it. But they got the production. They even got the vocals, which I mean, I was not expecting. I mean, I'm not saying they're like Boyz II Men or anything like that, but they do a good job with what they have. Okay. But like as I said, the production, the melodies, the way they sing, everything is just so perfect. I think I was listening to this album like nonstop today. And I think like it starts with Who Do You Love? So I mean, it starts at the top tier. And then it goes, I think, by about Misbehave, which is like the 8th song of the album. That's the only song that I felt was a little like, but it was still a good song. So I would love to do an episode on this album.
Okay, I really
love
want
this
to listen
episode.
to the album
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
was so impressed last year by Middle of the Night and
Yes.
Who Do You Love? Even though Who Do You Love once again is not on my playlist. But I will say this, usually if Nat likes something, I hate it. So I'm a little bit questionable on whether or not it's actually going to be good. But we'll see.
Give it a try. Like, I maybe because I also watched To All the Boys I Loved Before Part 2. I think the day
Oh my
before.
god, that Netflix show?
Yeah, that movie was so cute. Because I was
Isn't
like,
that
Mhm.
isn't that like super garbage?
Have you watched them?
Like I've watched like you know those like YouTube channels that do like TV show recaps.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing as watching the show or the movie. I mean, I'm not saying
I'll
like the
see
movie's
about it.
like, I mean, I'm not saying the movie's gonna be like for everyone, but I mean, I like rom-coms. So
Ugh,
for me, it's
yeah.
so good, and it put me in like a really good mood. So, and then because the album, as I said, it's all about romance. It is all about love. So it's
Oh, I
it kind of
hate
like
love.
yeah, because you're the Grinch. So okay. Shout
I
out to
mean,
Monster X, doing big things. Love it.
All right, Jimin, any shout outs?
yeah, I want to shout out to I believe this author's name is Madeline Miller or something like that, who wrote the Song of Achilles. I have been obsessed with Greek mythology. Oh, Greek mythology for like a clean couple weeks now. Like, and I can't stop. Like, I have to compulsively watch like YouTube videos about Greek mythology. And I just want to shout out to Madeline Miller because I think it's a decent book if you really like want to read like a different take on the Trojan War. Shout outs to some of my favorite Greek figures in Greek mythology. So basically none of the men. Shout outs to Giannis and his baby. Giannis just had a baby, guys, and his baby is like a regular size baby, which I think a lot of people were shocked by. Um, so yeah, I love babies. Um, shout outs to um Monster X. Like I've been really into their songs. So really shout outs to them. Shout outs to um yeah, really actually no, Monster X is the main group that I really want to shout out. And I never thought I would be the one saying this. Yeah, you guys know my history with them. You know that it's not a positive history. You know that my general thoughts on Monster X are not very positive. So the fact that they're getting a shout out from me, I feel like is quite an accomplishment. So yeah, that's my shout outs for uh the day. Everybody want to say happy birthday to Giannis's baby?
Happy birthday.
Wasn't the baby just born?
Yeah. What you trying to say?
So
So the baby can't have a birthday?
no, baby's not one yet.
Well, Korean babies have birthdays before they turn one.
Is Giannis's baby Korean?
Maybe.
Wait, did Team Giannis win the oh, that's a no.
No, it was rigged, so
I bet it wasn't,
yeah.
but sure. Okay,
No,
that's
it definitely was. It definitely was. No, I'm dead serious. There was some questionable, like a
calls.
lot of questionable refing, though. I will say in that game.
Okay, well, I do want to give a last shout out. I know, sorry, Ash, but I want to give a last shout out
Wow,
to
you
Golden
liar.
Child. To Golden Child because I feel like they're gonna have a good year. I feel like we're gonna eat our words and we're actually gonna like a Golden Child song this year.
We didn't say anything bad about Golden Child. Well, at least I didn't, so I don't have to worry about eating my words.
Well, maybe I will eat my words. I'm fine with it. I like changing my mind about things sometimes. So,
Yeah.
Okay, Ash.
And shout out to Pentagon. I listened to Dr. BB again and
Your
it
baby
stuck in my
daddy.
head. So thank you for that.
Y'all,
And
I just want to just be the first person to announce this. Um, Ash is actually marrying one of the members of Pentagon. It's like the new K-pop tea. So sip that.
you're really loving this right now. You know the pain this has caused me that this song is got this hold on me that it has. I
It's always amusing when you like a boy group or when you like a member of a boy group or something that a boy group does. It's always amusing.
Well, the BTS album's dropping at the end of the week, right?
Yeah, so she's gonna quickly switch teams because she's gonna see Jungkook. So,
well, not if he keeps
Cut his
that
hair.
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh yeah, unfortunate. Okay,
All
sorry.
right. So, anything else? Any last words from anybody? No? All right. Thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Which, oh, cut this out, Damon.
Okay.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned to our next episode, which will have a special guest. Um, Her name is Deb, and you guys may have seen her around Twitter. She was trying to get together a panel for K-pop fans of color, and she's joining us on our next podcast, so I'm sure she'll have some interesting things to say. She's interviewed Monsta X, so we can ask her about that. And yeah, so watch out for that. And thanks to you guys for listening to this episode, and we will catch you on the very next podcast.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Wait, what did you want me to cut out?
The part where I had started talking about the
Deb next week or whatever,
before
right?
I started talking about Deb, because
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so what do
started
you
to
want me to do
say
with that?
no, I started to say goodbye before I mentioned her.
Oh, you did?
So
Okay.
yeah, so that's the only thing.